Hello. Hello. So, yeah, I'm still learning the stream stuff. But anyway, I used to do um, more like recorded videos. But I'm gonna try to do these streaming videos. Anyway, so this is my bumper music. It's very fancy. It's not copyrighted, so no one can harass me. So anyway, so I wanted to go over some AI stuff. So before getting into the nitty gritty of the AI, let's discuss a little bit of what it is. So I um I have a background image to the left here where you got the bigger circle, artificial intelligence. Inside that circle is machine learning. Inside that circle is generative AI. Inside that circle is large language model AI. So really probably worthwhile to discuss the difference between LLM and GenAI. So I found some information on the internet. Um, so generative AI is a broad concept encompassing various forms of content generation, while LLM is a specific application of generative AI. Hence, it's a subset. Large language models serve as foundation models, providing a basis for a wide range of natural language processing tasks. So I know this is a very generic explanation, but unfortunately, it's like every company that designs the Gen AI or the LLMs, they'll do it slightly differently. So you're going to have to, if you really want to learn more about that, you're going to have to get into the details of that for every company that you're looking into. So, for example, like the main ones, OpenAI with ChatGPT, or Gemini with Google's Gemini. You got Microsoft's AI. You got Grok. You know, so it just depends on what you're interested in and what you're trying to do, as usual. So here's a little bit of a comparison of different LLMs, and which is kind of interesting. Of course, they didn't even compare some of the ones I discussed. They compared some other ones because they were interested in making a comparison of open and closed source. So notice the Apache License 2.0; those are open source, basically, or they can be. It depends on how they. I think the Lit Llama is open source. It's not commercial research. Whereas ChatGPT is closed source, as you can see, it's public. It says public web AI API, which is their own, possibly. I don't know enough about it really. So anyway, that's just a little bit of background. So I'm sure you've heard of the quote hallucinations that AI gets, which basically means errors. So there have been some very famous ones, and I wanted to get into some of these stories. There's four different stories. New Scientist had a story which says A03, which is the ChatGPT one of the versions, hallucinated 33% of the time, while O4 Mini did so 48% of the time. In comparison, O1 had a hallucination rate of 16%, so it'll hallucinate even more the more sophisticated it gets. So that's kind of what the you'll see this theme is coming over and over again. So key takeaways: the O3 system hallucinates 33% of the time, twice the rate of the predecessor, despite improved mathematical abilities. And actually, as you will see, it's actually needed to cut to the chase here. Hallucinations are needed. Hallucinations have always been an issue for generative AI models. This is from Lifehacker. Same structure that enables them to be creative and produce text and images also makes them prone to making stuff up. And the hallucination problem isn't getting better. In fact, it's getting worse. Well, it's bound to because it's getting more advanced. It's going to the errors are going to become larger unless you are changing the way you use it. So there's many other aspects of this. It's kind of interesting. This raises a concern over the accuracy and reliability of large language models such as AI chatbots, says Eleanor Watson, a IEEE engineer, member and AI ethics engineer at Singularity University. When a system outputs fabricated information such as invented facts, citations, or events, with the same fluency and coherence it uses for accurate content, it risks misleading users in subtle and consequential ways. Well, this is true, so you can't tell which answer is accurate and which answer is hallucinated, so to say, or errors, which answer is an error. So, and to be creative, AI needs to hallucinate. And they call it hallucinate because of the way AI is doing it. It's sort of like spitballing. Like if you have if two or three of your friends come by and you guys are doing some creative process where everyone just starts saying stuff, good or bad, and someone else is writing all those information down, and then you can kind of figure out, what's good and bad later. That's kind of what the software is doing. So it's like spitballing at you. It's like, oh, let me just put some stuff together. So the problem is that it takes information which is accurate, modifies it, and sends it back to you and says this is accurate, which is not correct because it modified the accurate information. So anyway, let's keep going. I think the rest of it is the same. So this is kind of what I wanted to get into. I asked U.com, which is a different AI. It's more like a search engine AI than it is the other ones. Although you can use it in different ways, of course. So I asked an AI, the U.com, how can a person asking questions to GenAI or LLM reduce hallucinations? What kind of parameters need to be used? So, interestingly, there are ways to do this. You have to use advanced prompting techniques. You can guide the model to produce more accurate and reliable responses. These include explicit instructions. Clearly instruct the model to avoid adding unverifiable or false information. For example, include a system prompt like, only provide information that is factually accurate and verifiable. So if you tell it not to add, it won't add. So this is the key here. Or, for example, few-shot prompting. Provide a few examples of the desired response format or content. This helps the model focus on specific context and reduces the likelihood of hallucinations. Sort of like how I asked the question. So I asked a question about reducing hallucinations, and I asked what the parameters to be used for this is. I don't think any of these, of course, I guess I have to double check. That would be an interesting double check, I guess. Of course, it did give me all of the uh, source 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 links. I mean, where I have it. So I'd have to pull up the exact question and then go back to where the source link is, because this is just a copy of the output without the source links. So fine tuning involves training model on high quality domain specific data. Now this is another aspect. So let's say you have your own AI engine with your own data. So and now you can tell it to not add any more data because you have the data. You want it to search under your data, and that's it. It's not going to go out to the internet. So that's domain specific data. There, you're using high quality data, only the stuff that you want to be used, and you can train it to come up with different examples. So it does have to learn the nuances of the domain. Fine tuning is especially useful for standardized tasks. So I've heard some companies use this in, like, if they're creating proposals or in like an accounting firm, for example. If they're large enough, they have a large enough data set, they can have the AI look through the data and then put together proposals, for example. So you also have to create guardrails. This is the key. It's like you have to program the guardrails into the AI. Evaluate and monitor output. So you're going to have to look at the output and see if it's accurate. This is pretty basic stuff here. It's kind of what makes sense. Use external tools and APIs. Integrating external tools such as APIs or databases can enhance the model's accuracy, for example. Real-time data access. Use APIs to fetch real-time information such as weather updates or stock prices. So this all depends what exactly are you doing. So if you're creating an AI about stock market data, you don't want the AI to be creating data that is not accurate. So you're going to have to give it you're going to have to give it parameters. You cannot create data when you're grabbing the stock market data. What you could do is decide how to use it, like in an analyzing manner, but that's a different thing. But the data has to be correct. So it's kind of interesting the way you could use AI. Design better prompts, understand the model's limitations. So this is just like in when we were doing the initial numerical in the math classes that I have had in the past. Numerical languages, numerical where there's errors, the basic errors inside of the computer. So you can have different errors, like you could have errors of how large of a decimal, the decimal error. It's like if you're rounding, the round off error. So if you're rounding numbers and then you multiply the rounded number, it's not as accurate as the number that is unrounded. And of course, depending on how much of a decimal you're keeping. So there's many different kinds of standard numerical methodologies that are error prone. And if you're programming, you have to know that. You have to design your program correctly. So this is the same thing. So if you're using AI, LLM or Gen AI, you have to use proper methods. So that way you can use it without errors. Anyway, so the conclusion is reducing hallucinations to LLMs requires a combination of advanced prompting, retrieval augmented generation, fine tuning, and robust evaluation. Anyway, by implementing these strategies and understanding the model's limitations, users can significantly improve the reliability and accuracy of AI generated responses. So this is the thing. You know, um, I just wanted to discuss my latest post and go over the kind of the issues with LLM or Gen AI. Kind of to just do a quick review for myself as well as for everybody else. So I did a little research on it over the weekend, and I thought some other people might want to see that research. So anyway, I'll come up with something else, and we'll talk again, I'm sure. But thank you for listening if you're still on, and we'll talk to you next time.